Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 11th of August 2022. So let us quickly look into those topics that are important from the newspaper today. So we are going to take these topics for discussion today. So the first topic says, to boost spending, Centre releases 1.16 lakh crore to the states. Okay. So this article is related to Indian economy, and in this article we are going to understand about under what mechanism the central government has released funds to the state government, and we are going to understand why it was important for the central government to release more funds to the state governments, right? Apart from this, we are going to talk about another topic. It says airfare bans go, last minute flight tickets may get cheaper. Okay. So in this article we are going to talk about how the ticket pricing was done earlier by the airline companies in case someone was booking the tickets at the last minute, just few hours before the flight was actually going to take off. All right. So we are going to understand about those ticketing mechanism, and also we are going to talk about what are the updates related to ticketing in airline companies. Okay. So this is also important under Indian economy section. After this, we are going to look into another topic. It says second warning issued at Bhadrachalam. Okay, so Bhadrachalam is a name of a river. So recently a warning has been issued. Why? Because the water level is rising in these rivers. Okay, water level is rising. So these the rising water level may cause flood-like situation, and that may hamper the areas around the river, and also it may be a danger signal for the people who are living nearby. Okay. So this topic is important under environment and ecology section. It is important for GS paper 3. After this, we are going to look into another topic. It says remains of cannon found in Kerala's Taliparamba. Okay. So there is a location in Kerala, it's known as Taliparamba. So they have found one remain of a cannon. Cannon, I mean that was used during warfare, right, in the modern period or medieval age, right? So we are going to understand about the cannon that was found, and we are also going to look into from which dynasty this cannon can be related to, and we are going to look into the role of the Archaeological Survey of India. Okay, so this is important under art and culture section. It is important for GS paper 1 of the mains exam. Then we are going to look into another section. It says a new global vision for G20. G20 stands for Group of 20 Nations. So Group of 20 Nations represent one of the largest economical organization. It is one of the largest international groupings where the member are countries. Okay, they are countries, and they are some of the most developed countries in the world. So we are going to talk about a new global vision for the Group of 20 Nations. Okay, so this is important under international relations. After this, we are going to look into another topic. It says RBI targets unfair methods in digital lending with new norms. Okay. So RBI stands for the Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India has recently come up with new guidelines. Okay, these guidelines are applicable for the banks, okay, scheduled commercial banks, the private banks, and also it is applicable for non-banking financial companies. So in this article, we are going to understand about the guidelines that have been released by the Reserve Bank of India, and we are going to understand about why there was a requirement of having such guidelines. Okay. With this, we will talk about another topic. It says ECI links 2.5 crore Aadhaar cards to voter ID. Okay, ECI stands for the Election Commission of India. So Election Commission of India has recently carried out Aadhaar voter ID linking process, and so under voluntary mechanism they have linked 2.5 crore Aadhaar numbers with their electoral ID like voter card. Okay, so we are going to understand about this article as well. This is important under Indian polity section. Okay, so we are going to discuss all these topics quickly today. So let us take the first topic, okay, for discussion. So this is the first topic. It says to boost spending, Centre releases 1.16 lakh crore to states. Okay, 2 months dues in one go to ease constraints after the end of GST compensation. Now let us understand, like, the central government and the state governments, they share the revenue that they receive from, goods and services. Okay, so the central government receives, GST, from central GST pool or IGST. Okay, so the IGST component that they receive, they share it with the state governments as well. So from last 2 months, I mean, for 2 months, the funds has not been released to the state governments. So recently there was a meeting of the Goods and Services Tax Council, which is also known as GST Council. So in that particular meeting, the Prime Minister of India has chaired that particular GST Council meeting. And so there were representatives from the state governments, the chief ministers from the states or other designated officials who were sent for the purpose, they have attended that particular meeting. So the state governments has raised their concerns that, since central government has not released the fund, so it is becoming difficult for the states to, maintain their balance sheets or to maintain their spending level. Okay. So after that, the central government has decided to release the unreleased funds, and they have released, 2 months of fund in one go. So the amount that was released was a very heavy amount. It is 1.16 lakh crore rupees that was released for the state governments. And now with this, state governments will be having more money with them, and they will be able to go ahead with the planned expenditures that they had in mind and also in the books. Right. So these state governments will find it easy to maintain their expenditure level, so that the walk may progress smoothly. So these are the names of the state governments that are listed in this particular graph. So these state governments have been released funds according to the graph that have been shown over here. Okay. So you see, smaller states have got lesser fund, bigger states have got more fund, like that. Okay. So this graph, in your free time you can go through this graph to understand how much fund was released to which state. But the main purpose was that unreleased funds have been released by the central government, and so these funds are are the proceeds that the central government has received from the collection of GST. Okay, so they have shared it with the state governments now. Okay, so this is the thing. With this, let us understand some more things associated with this. So if we talk about normal monthly devolution, that used to be around 58,000 crore rupees, but they have released the funds for 2 months, so it is 1.16 lakh crore. So this is double the amount. Okay, and this is in line with the commitment of the government of India to strengthen the hands of the states to accelerate their capital and developmental expenditure. So we have understood about the purpose why the fund was released. Okay, because fund was earlier not released. Okay, now the state governments have received the fund, and they will be able to go ahead with the planned capital expenditure. Okay, so after this, let us take another topic. This is second topic for the day. Okay, it says airfare bans go, last minute flight tickets may get cheaper. Okay, decision after taking ATF prices into account, says Scindia. Okay, so now here let us understand about first of all, let us understand what is ATF. ATF stands for aviation turbine fuel. Okay, it stands for aviation turbine fuel. So aviation turbine fuel is the kind of fuel grade that is used in the aviation sector, that is used by the airline companies, that are used in the airplanes or aeroplanes on which we board on as passengers. Okay, so they use a special grade of oil that is known as aviation turbine fuel. The prices of aviation turbine fuel is very high, and it has been increasing. Okay, time and again, over the past few months and all. So now let us understand what was the decision taken and why the decision was taken. So recently what has happened, before, just during the COVID-19, okay, during COVID-19, when COVID was started being reported in India in 2020. So in 2020, in March or April month, we had started hearing the news about COVID cases rising. So after then the central government, the Prime Minister of India has, you know, like came up with a statement, and like he said, like, you know, there will be nationwide lockdown. So when we had nationwide lockdown, so it has hampered the business activities of various kinds of businesses, and one of the business that was affected the most was the airline industry. Why? Because like people were not allowed to travel across borders, they were not allowed to travel from one place to another. So there was a restriction in the free movement of people, okay. So that time the airline industry got affected, their business hampered, and they were incurring losses for, I mean, like, you know, for a long time. Because like they had to continually, you know, pay for their staff even if they were, you know, not coming to office. I mean, like, you know, so that time work from home culture is started, okay. Many people, I mean, like, who were like, you know, not allowed to work from home, so they have lost their jobs as well. So there were multiple economic, you know, difficulties at that time at all levels, from businesses to the normal citizens, okay. So everybody has suffered economically that time, okay, except few industries. If we talk about the IT sector, that time IT sector has made huge profit, okay. But apart from this, other organizations, other businesses, they have been hampered. So COVID-19 was a time where you know, where airlines companies have made huge losses. So after then government started relaxing the norms, when we started, you know, taking control over the COVID cases, okay. So after relaxation of norms, the airline companies was allowed to function, okay. So now like they were into the recovery mode, but recovery mode, I mean, like, you know, the recovery was not easy, it was not quick, so it was gradual, it was slow, and at the same time the airline companies are still in the recovery mode, okay. So the thing is, like, what used to happen that time, okay, that time, I mean, like, we had a ticketing system for airline companies that, like, you know, if someone is booking the ticket in advance, for example 1 month in advance, so they'll be getting the you know, ticket at a very lower price. And if someone wants to travel at a quick pace, let's say like today I'm booking a ticket and I want to travel, you know, day after tomorrow or after 5 days, so I may have to pay a higher, you know, fare, because like, you know, the airline companies had made bands, okay, bands based on the time duration, like into which a person was booking the ticket for flying, okay. So if it is booked on an immediate basis where the person has to travel you know, within few days, so in that case the ticket pricing was high, okay. But now since the, I mean, airline industry, okay, and the airline companies are recovering and they are already in the path of recovering, so the you know, like minister, I mean, like minister for the airline, so we have I mean, like civil aviation minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, okay. So he has decided to, right, get away, okay, or to do away with the last minute ticket flights, okay. So like, you know, he has decided that airfare bans must go, okay. Means like, you know, now even if you are booking the ticket at a last minute, for example, like, you know, tomorrow you have to fly and now today you are booking the ticket, so you don't have to pay, you know, much higher amount than the normal people, like who are booking, for example, 1 month before, okay. So this was the decision that was taken, and the decision was taken in the right faith, that the airline companies are recovering now, and the passengers, I mean, like many a times passengers may have to go somewhere urgently, but like if they are booking the ticket, they should not be facing difficulty, I mean, like they should not have to pay, you know, very higher amount to the airline companies in that regard. So that was the decision that was taken, okay. With this, like, you know, let us take another topic. This is going to be the next topic for the day. It says, second warning issued at Bhadrachalam, okay. Bhadrachalam is name of a river. It is the name of a, yeah. So it is a name of a place, okay. It is a name of a place. Now here we are understanding that, like, you know, the Krishna and Godavari river, okay, Krishna and Godavari continue to spat. Nagarjuna Sagar gates likely to be lifted today, okay. So when we talk about Nagarjuna Sagar gates, means like this is gate of a dam that they are going to lift. Why? Because the level of water in river has increased beyond, I mean like beyond normal levels. So now there is a situation of likelihood danger because of flooding situation. Okay, so the government has like released second warning at Bhadrachalam. So Bhadrachalam is a location which is near to the river basin. Okay, which is near to the river basin. So like if we talk about Krishna and Godavari river, so in these two rivers the water level is increasing, so that's why this second warning has been issued. And apart from this, if we talk about Vardha and Vainganga, these are two rivers, Vardha and Vainganga. So these are two rivers that I mean like together flow, and they I mean like confluence. Okay, they join together to form a river which is known as Pranhita river. Okay, so Bhadrachalam and Vardha and Vainganga, these two rivers join together and they form a new river. The name of the new river is Pranhita. So in Pranhita also the water level is increasing, and flood situation is very near. So that's why a warning has also been issued, right, related to flood in these two rivers like Vardha and Vainganga, and which contribute to form Pranhita river. Okay, so so these rivers they flow across the states. So this river flows in the state of Maharashtra, also in Telangana as well. Okay, so that warning is being issued at different levels in different states in different rivers. Why? Because the water level is increasing. Okay, so the government is trying to save issue timely notices, timely warnings, so that lives of people can be saved, right, in advance. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, let us take another topic. They have given other information also. So I have highlighted wherever I found something to be important. So you can read from the slides that I am going to share. Apart from this, let us take another topic. It says remains of cannon found in Kerala's Taliparamba. Okay, so when we talk about Taliparamba, so Taliparamba is a location, is a name of a place that is located in Kerala. Okay, Kerala is a state in India. It is there in southern part of India. Okay, so in Kerala they have found remains of a cannon. So the image that you can see, this is the image of a cannon. Okay, this is the image of a cannon, and cannons were used to fire, fire walls. Okay, to release weapons, that can devastate the enemy. Okay, so cannons were used earlier during the medieval time. Nowadays people use missiles. Okay, so new name of cannon is missile. We can talk about like that. So that time cannons were being used. So they have the authorities have recently identified the remains of a cannon in Taliparamba in Kerala. So when we talk about this particular cannon barrel, okay, this cannon barrel, this was probably used during Tipu Sultan's regime. And Tipu Sultan, he has invaded in Kerala. So during his invasion, lot of artilleries, lot of things came. So one of those remains is this one. Okay, so this is just at this point of time it is not established by the Archaeological Survey of India that this belongs to the Tipu Sultan's regime. However, people are of the opinion that this cannon is believed to be a part of remains of the period of Tipu Sultan, who had invaded this particular region. Okay, so ruins of Tipu's fort had earlier been discovered on the upper reaches of Kuppam river nearby. Okay, and this cannon was earlier unnoticed because this location, this cannon was found at a very forested area. Okay, so that area had lot of big trees. So recently some tree cutting exercise was done, and during that time they have identified this cannon. So the people who have found this particular thing, so they are going to report it to the Archaeological Survey of India, so that Archaeological Survey of India can conduct further research on the cannon and also in the nearby areas to see if there are other cannons also, or there are other artilleries or other artifacts that belong to some other period, or to the same rulers and all. Okay, so this topic is important under art and culture section. Okay, so like here you need to understand that Taliparamba is located in Kerala, and also like this gives you some inspiration to look back into the modern history part, and also start reading about Tipu Sultan. Okay, Tipu Sultan, his regime, the battles that he has fought. Okay, Hyder Ali also fought some of the battles. You need to learn about those battles, and you need to understand about the treaties that were signed after the battle. Okay, so this is important. Okay, so with this, let us take another topic. It says a new global vision for G20. Okay, as we already discussed, that G20 is the name of group of 20 nations, and these 20 nations are one of the largest, one of the most developed countries in the world. So G20 together account for a very huge amount of the global GDP. Okay, they account for a very significant portion of the global GDP, significant portion of the global population and all. So G20 has very larger influencing power when it comes to world economy, world politics, and also some of the affairs that relate to the globe at large. All right. So the thing is, like, recently there was a meeting. Okay, recently there was a meeting related to G20, and in that G20 in that G20 meeting, like, India had participated, but like in future also, like, we are going to have a meeting of G20 in 2023. So for 2023, this particular author is of the viewpoint that India does not have a viewpoint, or India does not have a very detailed vision for G20 meeting. Okay, so the author is saying that, like, we need a new global vision for G20. So author says, while India has taken a clear view of the role of G20, there is a concern that the agenda, themes and focus areas which India will set for 2023, it lacks vision. Okay, so it is saying that, like, there is a vision for G20, what G20 is going to do, but like what vision India holds for G20, towards India's commitments and all, so that lacks vision. Okay, so the author is giving some ideas to the policy makers, for the people like who are concerned about the foreign policy. Okay, to shape India's roadmap towards creating a bigger vision for G20. Okay, so the author says that like we need a shift. Okay, we need a shift from commitments on aid and trade to collaboration on around science and technology. Okay, so we have commitment on aid and trade. We help people, we help countries, countries help us. So this is aid and aid and trade kind of thing. But like apart from this, we also need to look into collaboration in science and technology in emerging areas. Okay, so in this article, the author has mentioned about multiple areas of cooperation where we can cooperate. Okay, at this point of time, the author is saying that, like, globally, if we talk about, like, there are three economic parties, there are three parties. One of the system, one of the socio-economic system is the G7. G7 stands for group of 7 countries. Then other is China, Russia and India. Okay, and the next one is others. All other are put together. Okay, so this is the thing. So the author is saying that, we need to change the mode, we need to change the model from aid and trade to collaboration in science and technology. So there are multiple areas where we can collaborate on science and technology. So the author has also highlighted existing lacuna in the kind of way that countries are cooperating with one another. On one side we have Ukraine. Ukraine is a war-torn nation. Okay, so ongoing conflict are there between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so it's a long-drawn battle that is still happening. Okay, so solution has not been yet arrived. Okay, still Russia is in a mode of attack, right, on Ukraine. Okay, so global powers have not been able to stop the war happening in Ukraine. So now Ukraine, Ukraine also had very good impact on world economy, because it was majorly food grain supplying country, right, for the world. Okay, but apart from this, like if we talk about like the Rio Declaration of 1992, so that time we talked about sustainable development goals. We talked about, I mean like those we talked about sustainable development. We understood about like what is sustainable development. Okay, that time the definition of sustainable development came for the first time. Okay, a development like that you are doing for now and like that takes care of the interest of the future generations as well. So in this article the author is talking about all of it, but apart from this the author is talking about the common concerns. What are the common concerns for the world? Okay, so the world, like India should seek collaboration on limited focus areas around science and technology, building on resolutions of the United Nations General Assembly and other multilateral bodies. So in this article the author has maintained multiple viewpoints, like how we can address the common concerns. One of the common concern is there is no, as of now there is no proper collaboration that is happening around the world when it comes to science and technology. And apart from this, like author has highlighted that emerging economies are no longer be considered the source of problems needing external solution, but source of solution to be shared to the shared problems. Okay, so the author has mentioned 6-7 common concerns. One of the common concern is we need to have a collaboration mechanism for science and technology. Then we need to consider the developing or emerging economies to be part of the solution, not the part of the problem. Okay, so emerging economies are coming up with newer ways to tackle the existing problems. Okay, to come up with solutions. So like the emerging nation should be considered to be part of the solution, not the part of the problem. Apart from this, the author is saying that BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So BRICS is an acronym of a regional grouping, okay, where like we have 5 member countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Okay, so BRICS provides an appropriate model for governance institutions suitable for the 21st century, where a narrow group of states dominated by one power will not shape the agenda. Okay, so here the author is saying that BRICS provides a platform where like all the countries are equal partners. Okay, so these countries are equal partners, so they are able to tackle these problems mutually with mutual solutions. Okay, everybody is considered equal. But when we talk about like some of the multilateral forums, for example the United Nations organization, this organization has the real power in the United Nations Security Council, and the United Nations Security Council has the 5 permanent members, the P5. So these 5 permanent members have the veto power with them. So the thing is, these 5 permanent members enjoy the real power, whereas like all other members, for example like 192 member, like it has 192 member in all. So these other countries, I mean like these other countries do not enjoy the real power as is being enjoyed by the P5 countries. Okay, so those organizations should also be democratized in such a manner that the power is shared by the independent countries, power is shared by sovereign countries equally. Okay, so the author is talking about a parity in power sharing in those multilateral forums as well. Apart from this, the author has mentioned other thing, like he has discussed about like we have a Vienna Declaration on Human Rights 1993. So it has reaffirmed the indivisibility of all human rights. Okay, so Vienna Declaration on Human Rights has given declared like what are human rights, and these human rights must be available to all human beings, irrespective of the caste, irrespective of the creed, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of their political like alignment, irrespective of their faith, the religion that they follow. Okay, all human beings must have like human rights. Okay, so that has been declared in the Vienna Declaration on Human Rights. Apart from this, like so we have, the world has together adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which is known as Sustainable Development Goals. We have adopted Sustainable Development Goals in the year of 2015. From 2015 to 2030, we are trying to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals that we have committed for ourselves. Okay. Apart from this, like we need to ensure adequate food, housing, education, health, water and sanitation, and work for all should guide international cooperation. Okay. We have also adopted principles of common but differentiated responsibilities. Okay. That is also important. So here in this article, the author has talked about the common concerns that the world is facing today. And at the same time, the author has talked about a solution, the way forward. The way forward is collaboration. The countries must collaborate with one another, understand the problem, understand the solution, and look forward to implementing those solutions and improving the way how we are coming up with the solutions. Okay, and we want peace and cooperation around the world. So this is what is highlighted by the author. In your free time, you can read the article, you can go through the highlighted portions quickly so that you understand the most important lines that were discussed by the author through this article. All right. So with this, let us take another topic. This topic is important, and this is important under Indian economy section. Okay. It says RBI targets unfair methods in digital lending with new norms. Okay. So what has happened, like recently it was being noticed by the financial institutions, and like people have also reported to the financial institutions and also to the RBI. RBI stands for the Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank is the central bank for India. Okay, so this is the bank that regulates all other banking channels in India. Okay, so Reserve Bank of India was of the opinion that like there are multiple organizations, multiple individuals, multiple companies, multiple third parties that were giving loans through digital platforms. But like these digital platforms, many of these digital platforms were not being regulated. Okay, so these digital platforms had unfair practices. These platforms had unregulated practices. So these platforms sometimes tried to avoid some kind of exercises for recovering money that were not, at par with the banking regulation of the Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India has come up with new guidelines, and these new guidelines want to achieve a regulated framework in the entire country when it comes to digital lending. Okay, so Reserve Bank of India has issued first set of guidelines for digital lending to crack down on illegal activities by certain players. And this follows the recommendation of the Working Group on Digital Lending that had submitted its report recently. And as per the new norms, all loan dispersals and repayments will be required to be executed only between the bank accounts of the borrower and the regulated entities such as bank or a non-banking financial company, without any pass-through or pool account of the lending service providers or any third party. Okay, so this is the thing. Apart from this, RBI has also released certain other guidelines. Okay, other guidelines. What are those guidelines that are listed in this article itself? So I will go through each of the guidelines so that like you also understand about it. Okay, so the concerns that the RBI has tried to address are related to, the concerns are related to unbridled engagement of third parties, mis-selling. Mis-selling means like they are giving information about another product, they are selling another product. They are giving more, making more commitments, they are providing less, right? So like that. So RBI has tried to talk about mis-selling, breach of data privacy, unfair business conduct, charging of exorbitant interest rates, and unethical recovery practices. Okay, so RBI has also said that a standardized key fact statement, okay, must be provided to the borrower before executing loan contract. Okay, so the borrower should be provided this particular statement, which is known as key fact statement, and this statement must list all the important information, like what will be the interest rate, like what will be the frequency of repayment, if repayment was not done, what will be the course of action by the financial companies. So these things must be mentioned in the key fact statement. And apart from this, let's consider there was a borrower who has took money on loan. If he is not able to repay, so what will be the course of action? So here I mean like the RBI has mentioned that the lender must allow a cooling off period in which the borrower can exit loans by paying the principal and proportionate annual percentage rate. Okay, so this is the thing. I mean like this is a very good guideline by the Reserve Bank of India, and this is the first set of guideline. After this, the RBI may come up with follow-up guidelines as well. You can go through these guidelines that are available as of now to understand about various issues that were there, and how the RBI is tackling those challenges with the newer set of guidelines. All right. So with this, let us take another topic. This topic says ECI links 2.5 crore Aadhaar cards to voter IDs. Okay. So ECI stands for the Election Commission of India. ECI is the shorter form of Election Commission of India. So Election Commission of India is a constitutional body. So this body is mandated to conduct free and fair election across the country at various levels. This body conducts election for the President of India. It conducts election for the House of House of the Parliament. For example, it conducts election for the Rajya Sabha, okay, which is known as Council of States, and also it conducts election for the Lok Sabha, which is known as House of People. Okay, the Election Commission of India conducts election for the state governments as well. Okay, across the country it conducts election at all levels, right, at various levels. Then election, so at the central level we have Election Commission of India. At the state level we have state election commissions as well. So Election Commission of India is a multi-member body. Okay, so it has a chief election commissioner, and apart from this there are other election commissioners as well. So one of the election commissioner of the Election Commission of India, his name is Anup Chandra. Okay, he is an election commissioner. His name is Anup Chandra Pandey. So he recently has conducted a meeting with the chief electoral officers. Okay, with the chief electoral officers. So we have chief electoral officers in all states. Okay, in different states wherever elections are being conducted. So the election commissioner, Mr. Anup Chandra Pandey, he has conducted a meeting with the chief electoral officers, and in that meeting the election commissioner has appreciated the performance of the chief electoral officer for the good work that they have done, and also he has highlighted that across the country 2.5 crore Aadhaar cards have been linked with the voter IDs. Why it was important to link Aadhaar card with voter IDs? So that we can remove the bogus voter IDs, like we can remove those names that are actually not existing, okay, that are only there in the list but in real they are not there. Okay, so they want to make the electoral roll means like a data that contains name of all voters, right, a pure data, okay, error free data. That's the thing. Okay, so the election commissioner has highlighted the importance of having this thing, but as of now there is guideline from the Supreme Court of India that people cannot be forced to share their Aadhaar card which contains the biometric information, the information that are very sensitive of personal information, for example name, date of birth, religion, and also other information. Biometric information is also there in the in the Aadhaar card. Okay, so as of now there is guideline from the Supreme Court of India that people should not be forced to share their sensitive personal data for normal for availing normal services from the government. Okay, so as of now the Election Commission of India has acquired or linked this thing on a voluntary basis. So people who are willing to share their biometric information with the Election Commission of India, they can link their Aadhaar card with the voter ID. So as of now, 2.5 crore Aadhaar cards have been linked, and like in future many more people may opt for linking their Aadhaar card with the voter ID, but like it is not a mandatory exercise, it is just voluntary in nature. If you wish to link your Aadhaar card with your voter ID, so you can also do so online. Okay, you can visit the website of the Election Commission of India and you can see relevant information there, and also there you can go ahead with linking your Aadhaar card with the voter ID. Okay, so this is all in today's discussion. So thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.